Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got 3 stories that are lighting up the conversation in the nation. And if you thought the 2025 season was already buried, think again. Because what we're seeing right now is the blueprint for how this team is going to bounce back in 2026. I'm talking health, rookie development, and front office moves that, even though they didn't get us to the playoffs this year, are laying the foundation for something big. Listen, not everything is measured in wins. Sometimes it's about foundation, mindset, and who's growing and stepping up. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. So if you're a Commanders fan, if you care about the future of this roster, if you want to understand why next season could be a whole different story, stick around. We're talking Terry McLaurin's recovery process, the leap Josh Connolly Jr. made in the second half of the season, and why the Laramie Tunsil trade was a straight-up masterclass, even if we didn't make the playoffs. Let's get into it. News. 1. Commanders wide receivers have to be healthy for upcoming season. Bro, if there's one thing that defined the Commanders' 2025 season, it's this. Injuries wrecked us. And I'm not exaggerating. We finished 5-12, missed the playoffs, and one of the biggest reasons was our wide receiver room being completely banged up. The toughest blow? Watching Terry McLaurin deal with constant injuries. Terry, the most reliable dude on this offense, the guy who's always available, always producing, had to play battered and bruised all year. That's not normal for him, and it showed. Now, after the season ended, Terry spoke to reporters and gave an update on his health. And fam, this matters, not just because of his physical condition, but because of his mindset and what's coming in 2026. Terry explained that the injury he was dealing with was tough, that he had a setback mid-season, and that just being able to suit up was a grind. But listen to this. After the Madrid game, Terry said the pain stopped. No more setbacks. And he was able to stack consistent practice days without missing a session. That, bro, is pro mentality. That's what separates the good from the great. Think about it. Terry could have sat out, could have said, I'll rest up for next year. But he didn't. He kept playing, kept competing, and now he's heading into the off-season with a clear plan to get back to 100%. And that's exactly what we need. Because if Terry's healthy in 2026, if he can get back to being that dominant WR, we know it changes the whole dynamic of the offense. Jaden Daniels needs Terry. David Blau's scheme needs Terry. This franchise needs Terry. But Terry wasn't the only receiver dealing with injuries. Rookie Jalen Lane had his share of physical issues too. And what's interesting about Lane is that he admitted he now understands what a full NFL season really means. He said he finished his rookie year with a sprained ankle and was thankful it wasn't worse. But he also said something key. He needs to train at full speed to improve. He needs to be able to cut without limitations. And these first few weeks of the off-season are going to be crucial to get back to 100%. And bro, I love that, because Lane is showing maturity. He's realizing the NFL ain't college. The wear and tear is different, and the prep has to be on another level. And if he can use this off-season to get stronger, work on his explosiveness and route running, then we've got a legit complementary piece next to Terry and the rest of the group. Now let's zoom out. Why is this the most important story of the 3? Because without healthy receivers, there's no functional offense. Doesn't matter how good Jaden Daniels is, doesn't matter how solid the O-line is, if the receivers can't stay on the field, can't create separation, can't make plays, then we're limited. And that's exactly what happened in 2025. We had flashes where the offense looked good, but we couldn't sustain it because the WR room was depleted. But here's the good news. Now we know what the problem is, and we know how to attack it. Terry's working on his recovery, Lane's strengthening that ankle, and the rest of the group gets a full off-season to get right. And if we can keep this group healthy in 2026, if Terry's back to elite form, Lane develops into a reliable deep threat, and the rest of the WRs contribute, then this offense could look completely different. And it's not just about the guys we already have. The front office needs to look at the draft and free agency to add depth. One of the biggest lessons from 2025 is you can't rely on just 2 or 3 receivers. You need a deep roster. You need options. You need guys who can step in and produce when starters go down. And if Adam Peters and the staff can bring in 1 or 2 more receivers this off-season, we're in a much better spot to handle the inevitable injuries that come with an NFL season. Another thing that's got me optimistic is the mindset Terry and Lane showed at the end of the season. They're not making excuses, not blaming anyone. They're owning it and focused on getting better. That's winning culture. Bro, that's what builds strong teams. And if the rest of the roster can adopt that same mindset, if everyone hits the off-season with that same hunger and discipline, then 2026 could be the bounce-back year. And listen, I know it's easy to be pessimistic after a 5-12 season. I know it's tempting to say this team's years away from competing. But bro, the talent is there. Jaden Daniels is legit. Terry McLaurin is elite. We've got young pieces like Lane and Connolly who are growing. What we lacked in 2025 was health and consistency. And if we can fix that, if we can keep this group on the field, everything changes. So fam, this is the #1 story because it's the foundation of everything. No healthy receivers, no offense, no offense, no wins, no wins, no playoffs. But if Terry and Lane get back to 100%, if the front office adds depth, and if this group stays healthy all season, then the Commanders have a real shot to get back in the playoff conversation in 2026. And I truly believe they're going to do it. Keep it a buck. Next season's going to hit different. Okay, bro, but if you thought that story was hype, wait till you hear what's next. This is the kind of development that makes you believe in the future of this franchise. News 2. Commanders' surging rookie turned a rough start into a promising finish, yo fam. Let's talk about Josh Connolly Jr., because this rookie right tackle just gave us one of the most inspiring stories of the entire season. And listen, I'm not talking about some feel-good fluff. I'm talking about a dude who got thrown into the fire from day one, had to face some of the nastiest pass rushers in the league right out the gate, had a brutal start, and still never folded. In fact, he finished the season playing every single offensive snap. Bro, that's pro-level mindset. That's what separates the good from the great. Let's put this in perspective. Connolly was a first-round pick, expected to be the right tackle of the future. But the future showed up early. From the very first regular season game, he was the starter. No adjustment period, no easing in, just straight into the action. And not just any action. His first 3 matchups, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Micah Parsons. That's like starting your NBA career guarding LeBron, KD, and Giannis. Straight up wild. And yeah, as expected, Connolly struggled early. In those first 3 games, he gave up 4 sacks and 11 pressures. That's rough, no sugarcoating it. But here's the thing, something clicked. In the game against Max Crosby, one of the most dominant edge rushers in the league, Connolly had a clean stat sheet. 0 sacks, 0 pressures. And from that point on, over the final 14 games, he allowed just 4 sacks and 32 pressures. That's a massive leap, fam. That's real development. So what changed? How did a rookie who was struggling suddenly become a reliable tackle? Part of the answer is Laramie Tunsil. Tunsil wasn't just brought in to protect Jaden Daniels' blind side, he was also a mentor for Connolly. And clearly, that mentorship paid off. Connolly talked at the end of the season about how much he learned from Tunsil and how they're planning to train together all off-season. That's exactly what you want to hear. Bro, Tunsil's a pro's pro, a vet who's been to Pro Bowls and knows what it takes to be elite. If Connolly keeps soaking up that knowledge, his ceiling is sky high. Another thing that stands out, Connolly's durability. He played every single offensive snap this season. That's insane for a rookie. Most rookie linemen miss time, get banged up, or hit the rookie wall. But Connolly stayed healthy, stayed locked in, and never came off the field. That speaks to his physical prep, his mental toughness, and his ability to adapt to the NFL grind. And bro, let's talk about his skill set. One of the things I love about Connolly is how well he moves in space. He's not just a mauler. He can pull, get to the second level, and adjust to different schemes. That's perfect for what David Blau wants to do on offense. Blau's going to run a lot of movement, outside zone, and play action. And for that to work, you need tackles who can move. Connolly's got that. Now he just needs to build more core strength and anchor to handle the league's biggest bull rushers. And here's the crazy part. Connolly just turned 22 in November. He's still raw, still growing. And if he did all this in his rookie year, imagine what he can do in year 2 or 3. The upside is huge. Now let's keep it real. Not everything was perfect. There were games where Connolly struggled, gave up pressures in key moments, or got beat by speed or technique. But that's part of the process. No one expects a rookie to be flawless. What matters is that Connolly showed growth, resilience, and the right mindset to become an elite tackle in this league. And fam, this matters because the offensive line is the foundation of everything. If you can't protect your quarterback or open up the run game, it doesn't matter how talented your roster is, you're not winning games. But with Connolly developing at right tackle, Tunsil locking down the left side, and the rest of the line improving, the Commanders have a real shot at building one of the best O-lines in the NFC over the next few years. And listen, I know the O-line doesn't get the love. They're not scoring touchdowns or making highlight picks, but they're the ones who win games, bro. They control the clock, convert on 3rd and short, and keep your franchise QB upright. And if Connolly keeps trending up, if he becomes that anchor on the right side we all hope for, then the Commanders are in a way better spot to compete in 2026 and beyond. So fam, that's the story of Josh Connolly Jr., a rookie who got thrown into the fire, had a rough start, but finished the season proving he's got what it takes to be elite. And with Tunsil mentoring him, a full off-season to work on his technique and strength, and the coaching staff fully behind him, Connolly's set up for a breakout year in 2026. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. All right, bro, and if you thought that was fire, wait till we break down a trade that had folks scratching their heads, but might just go down as one of the smartest moves this front office has made. News 3. Commanders may have won Laramie Tunsil trade even without playoff appearance. Okay, fam, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Laramie Tunsil trade. When the Commanders brought him in from Houston this past offseason, giving up a second-round pick that's going to land in the top 40, a lot of folks were side-eyeing the move. And listen, I get it. Giving up a high pick for a veteran tackle who just turned 30 in a season where playoff hopes were shaky at best? Yeah, it felt risky. But bro, after watching what Tunsil brought to the table this year, on the field and in the locker room, I'm telling you straight up, the Commanders won that trade. And no, I'm not tripping. Let me break it down. First off, let's talk on-field impact. Tunsil was brought in to protect Jaden Daniels' blind side. And bro, he did that at an elite level. Jaden himself said at the end of the season that he's grateful the team brought Tunsil in, called him a pro's pro, and said he barely had to worry about pressure from that side. And that's exactly what you want when you've got a young franchise QB. You don't want your guy constantly looking over his shoulder. That messes with timing, confidence, everything. But with Tunsil locking down the left edge, Jaden could stay in rhythm, make his reads, and play with confidence. And it's not just about stats, it's about presence. Tunsil's been to Pro Bowls. He's been one of the top tackles in the league for years. When you've got a guy like that on your line, it lifts everybody. The other linemen play with more confidence. The QB trusts the protection. The run game opens up. It's a domino effect. But here's the part a lot of people are sleeping on. Tunsil's impact as a mentor. Like we talked about in the last segment, he played a huge role in Josh Connolly Jr.'s development. Connolly said they're going to spend a lot of time together this offseason. And bro, that's priceless. You can't put a number on having a veteran like Tunsil willing to teach, to share knowledge, to invest in a rookie's growth. That's how dynasties are built. That's what separates Super Bowl teams from the rest. And think about it like this. If Connolly becomes an elite tackle because of Tunsil's mentorship, then that second-round pick was a steal. A second-rounder can be a hit or a bust. You might draft a guy who never sees the field. But if you end up with a Pro Bowl right tackle for the next 10 years because of this trade, that's a win, period. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. Bro, the Texans made the playoffs and we didn't. How can we say we won the trade? And listen, I hear you. But the success of a trade isn't just about this season's record. It's about long-term impact. The Texans have a more complete roster right now. They've got a stacked D-line, a solid secondary, playmakers all over. We're still rebuilding. We're building around Jayden Daniels, trying to lay a strong foundation. And to do that, we needed to protect our QB and develop our young talent. Tunsil helped us do both. And another thing, Tunsil's not just a one-year rental. He's under contract for a couple more seasons. That means we've got his leadership, his protection, and his presence for a while. That gives Connolly more time to grow, gives Jayden more time to develop with solid protection, and gives the front office more flexibility to build the rest of the roster without worrying about left tackle. And fam, let's talk about the mindset Tunsil brought into the locker room. This is a guy who's been in win-now situations. He knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. And when you've got someone like that in your building, it changes the culture. The young guys see how he works, how he prepares, how he handles adversity. That energy is contagious, bro. That's how you build a winning team. Now look, I'm not saying the trade was perfect. Giving up a high second-round pick always stings, especially when you don't make the playoffs. And yeah, it would have been ideal to have Tunsil and still make a postseason run. But just because we didn't get there this year doesn't mean the trade was a bust. Because Tunsil's impact goes way beyond one season. He helped protect Jayden, helped develop Connolly, and helped set a tone of professionalism and excellence in the trenches. And that, fam, is priceless. And listen, if 2 or 3 years from now we're watching Connolly ball out at a Pro Bowl level, if Jayden's in the MVP convo, and if the Commanders are in the mix for a Super Bowl, we're all going to look back and say, the Tunsil trade was one of the best moves this front office ever made. Because sometimes the value of a trade isn't immediate. Sometimes it's in the long-term growth, the lessons learned, and the culture that gets built. So fam, I'm calling it now. The Commanders won the Laramie Tunsil trade. Not because we made the playoffs, but because Tunsil gave us exactly what we needed right now. Protection for our QB, mentorship for our rookie tackle, and leadership in the locker room. And if we build on that in 2026, if we keep this group healthy and keep developing our young core, this trade is going to be remembered as a turning point for the franchise. Keep it a buck. Tunsil was one of the best pickups of the offseason, and I don't regret that trade for a second. All right, fam, those were the 3 big stories of the day. And bro, if there's one thing that's clear after all this, it's that the Commanders have a solid foundation to bounce back in 2026. Yeah, 2025 was disappointing. Yeah, we finished 5-12. Yeah, we missed the playoffs. But listen, the talent is there, the leadership is there, and the mindset is there. Terry McLaurin's coming back healthy. Jalen Lane's going to be stronger. Josh Connolly Jr. is developing with Tunsil as his mentor. And Jayden Daniels is getting a full offseason to level up. That's what's got me hyped, bro. That's why I believe 2026 could be a whole different story. And I know some of y'all are still skeptical. I know some of y'all think I'm being too optimistic. But fam, I've seen enough from this roster to know the pieces are in place. What we lacked was health and consistency. And if we fix that, if we keep this group on the field all season, everything changes. So I'm telling you, don't sleep on the Commanders. This next season's gonna hit different, and I'll be right here, covering every step of the way. Bro, if you made it this far, drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments which of these 3 stories has you the most hyped for 2026. Is it Terry and Lane getting healthy? Is it Connolly's development? Or is it the impact of Tunsil? I want to hear from you, fam, and I'll catch you in the next video with more Commanders news. Let's go!